Spider-Man is back home, or is he? Wait a minute. Spider-Man's gone? No, Spider-Man's somewhere. Welcome back to Sporkin' News Podcast. I am Scott, no longer Mr. Scotty because that was kind of corny. So, I am Scott and I am your host. Insert music here. If you're in a band and want to make a theme song for this, I kind of want like that old ticker tape sound. Anyways, make it kind of punk. So, the news is Spider-Man is back in the MCU. So Sony and Marvel have reached a deal. It looks like people are reporting the deal is now Sony 75%, Marvel 25%. Now, I don't know yet if it's in all aspects covering cost and profit. Because before it was really Marvel spent most of the money and only got like 5%. Sony pretty much lent it out and took all the money. We all know that Marvel came back a few weeks ago and said they wanted 50% and also to have Sony cover 50% of the cost. Sony walked away from the table. And as important as Spider-Man is to the MCU right now, knowing that they killed everybody, well, all the white males, they need Spider-Man. Okay, there have been reports that their plan for Phase 4 was to have a Spider-Man, Captain Marvel hookup. Spider-Man's funny, Captain Marvel's kind of stiff. Use Spider-Man to get beat up a little bit to make her look better, funnier, more personable. I don't know how I feel about this yet. Sony has made worse Spider-Man movies than they have made good. Spider-Man 1 and 2, the originals, were great. Even though that was still in the 90210 phase, I like to call it, where 30-year-olds are playing high school students. I loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, hated him as Peter Parker, so I really wasn't digging those movies. I love Tom Holland. Tom Holland is awesome at Spider-Man, and I love him as, well, let's strike that, awesome at Peter Parker. Don't really care for him as Spider-Man. Spider-Man is, like I've said in other videos, I only have 5, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. Spider-Man is treated like a little boy, a coward almost, scared of his own shadow in these movies. Except for the Marvel ones, he seems a little bit more Spider-Man, yet one of my biggest pet peeves with that Spider-Man, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when he was fading out, when he was the blip, he worried about himself. Okay, Spider-Man worries about everybody else. Aunt May, MJ, Gwen. That's one of his greatest characteristics and his biggest flaws, weaknesses. He always worries about the people around him that he loves, keeping them safe. That's why he has a secret identity. Come on, people, stick with me. So, they had him think about himself. Like a little boy scared that he was going to go. And, falling into Tony Stark's arm. He was a Tony Stark groupie. I'm really hoping in these next movies that Spider-Man becomes a man again. And I'm really hoping Kevin Feige, doesn't go super woke with this one. I'm really still a fan of the Marvel. I loved the last 10 years. Endgame, I wasn't the happiest with. And there's a couple movies here and there, the second Thor movie, But Guardians of the Galaxy has been awesome, and Iron Man was great. I loved Winter Soldier was, I think, the best movie of the whole Marvel phase franchise. Sorry, it's one take, people. I'm not cutting this out. So, what do you think? Is this a good deal? The 25-75, who won? Did Sony win? I kind of think they did. Marvel tried to play hardball, and Sony said, you. Even though Sony's up for sale right now, if they get sold, Spider-Man goes back to Marvel. Okay, that's the licensing deal they have. So if they get sold, whoever buys them knows this. So is this some type of deal to slowly get paid out for Spider-Man? Apple swooping in and maybe buying everybody? That's another video. I don't know. Tell me what you think. So, on another note, I'd like to thank Stephen Walton, for the author of the Fandom Menace Project, one of the co-authors, for having me on his live stream last night. It was my first one. There was a great YouTubers, really made me feel comfortable, really were open to what I was saying. I was really nervous, but those guys were awesome. I'm hoping, actually he reached out and said maybe this week. Well, he offered. I got to find out if the wife will let me. So let's see what happens. I hope people start following. I would love if you shared and liked these videos. It really helps me out. YouTube has changed their algorithm. So little guys like me that don't talk about what YouTube wants to hear, and that is, kind of non-social justice woke type stuff. Or happy-go-lucky type feely stuff. I speak my truth, whatever. They're really not pushing us to grow. So it's going to take you guys, the Fandom Menace, friends, family, whoever. I just finally put it out there on my Facebook page, my personal one, that I'm doing this. I really love doing this. You guys are making it possible. People watching this. I'm sorry this is bouncing in and out of focus. It's a phone. It sucks. I've dropped it 1,000 times. So maybe if I get some more people, I could buy a real camera, do this right, and hopefully I'll get better at this. Maybe edit a little bit. So, Scott here with Sporking News. Come back. Hope to see you again. And remember, if they're making fun of you and they're calling you names, they already lost the war.